So let's talk topwater lures. These are going to be one of my favorite lures to throw, especially in the fall when water temperatures are a little bit cooler and those fish are more fired up. Now the lure that I'm going to be showing in this video is our Moonwalker, which is a topwater walk the dog style lure. But these same retrieve styles that I'm going to be showing you in this video, which are some of my favorite ways to retrieve topwaters to get more strikes, can apply to all types of topwaters, not just the walk the dog style. So you can use it with poppers, prop baits, chuggers, any type of lure like that. But before we get into the retrieves, which I'm going to show you out there on the water, you're going to see, how I'm working the rod. You're going to also see the lure actually in action. The equipment is going to be very important for topwater. So what I recommend as far as a rod goes, the length will vary based on your personal preference. Some people like a shorter rod. That way, if the rod tips down, they're not hitting the water. Some people prefer a longer rod. Maybe they're up on a boat, so they can get away with having that rod tip down to retrieve that lure. But when it comes down to the power and the action, that's going to be important. I prefer a medium power with either a fast action or a moderate action. You don't want a rod that is too stiff, or what's going to happen is you're going to be dragging that lure through the water and it's not going to pop that lure to get the right action out of it. So the rod I have here, or this setup that I have here, this is our slam stick in a medium power fast action 7'6", and I've got it paired up with our Otis 2500 reel 10-pound braid. And I like to go pretty light with the leader. If you go too heavy with the leader, it can sink while you're retrieving that lure. Also, if the leader's too stiff, you're also going to end up just dragging that lure through the water. So leader, I'll go with anywhere from 15 to 20 pound, and if I need to, if I'm going after snook, I'll put a heavier section of leader at the end, a heavier bite tippet. But that is what I recommend for topwaters. Let's go ahead and get on the water and show you how to retrieve those lures. Let's go ahead and show you the 3 standard retrieves that I like to use with topwaters. First is just going to be a steady, constant pop. So cast that lure out, and one thing I like to do after I cast the lure out is to let it settle. And once you see the ripples start to settle, that's when I like to retrieve the lure. So cast it out, let it sit, let those ripples settle. Then I'm going to bring in the slack and just constant, steady pop of the rod tip. Notice I'm keeping the rod tip low to the surface of the water. If you're using a pretty long rod, you can also hold it a little more up and to the side. And even sometimes you can actually work it, with the rod tip up. But if it's too windy, that's not going to work really well. So just keep the rod tip out to the side, across your body, and just give constant, steady pops with a constant, steady, slow reel. And that slow reel is just keeping up with the line, picking up the slack. So constantly pop that rod tip. And if you notice what I'm doing, notice the butt of the rod, it's actually bouncing off my forearm close to my elbow. And that sort of helps with the pop. And it's all on the wrist, just flicking the wrist, letting that rod hit up against your forearm near your elbow, and that helps that rod tip pop. Now the speed of that retrieve will vary. If it's really calm out, I'll usually do like a very subtle pop. I won't twitch the rod tip really hard, but if it's windy out, you got a good chop on the water, or fish are being really aggressive, you could do more of an aggressive twitch, doing the same thing, just a steady retrieve. So give basically stronger pops of the rod tip, and that's going to create a lot more commotion in the water. Snook really like this type of retrieve. They're very aggressive ambush style fish, so a nice aggressive twitch of the rod tip can work as well. And then lastly with topwaters is a stop and go or a twitch and pause retrieve. This is going to work best when it's a little cooler out. Fish are a little bit more lethargic. They're not too aggressive. You may see them pop the lure a couple times before they actually commit to it. So with this retrieve, you're just doing a few pops, and that will vary depending on what the fish wants. So you have to experiment a bit with it. So again, cast it out, let the lure settle, reel in the slack. I'll do 3 or 4 twitches, let it pause. 1, 2, 3, let it pause. 1, 2, 3, let it pause. And again, you could do three twitches, a pause, and then 2 twitches, pause. Really play around with it to see what the fish are more dialed into. And if you do notice fish start hitting your lure, don't speed up or change the retrieve. Just keep going with the same constant steady retrieve or the twitch and pause. You know, don't speed it up, don't slow it down. Wait until you feel the weight of that fish on your line before you go to set the hook. So I hope those tips can help you out next time you get out there on the water. And if you're interested in any of the lures and also the rod setup that I showed in this video, we do sell it on our shop page at fishstrong.com. And if you're one of our insider members, you do get exclusive discounts to our tackle on the shop page. So be sure to take advantage of that. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop them down below.